All right, let's start out in the West. So my Wolves versus the Nuggets. We up 2-1. Let's go. We're here.
Bro's on the team apparently.
All right, let's just start with the Wolves. Crowd favorite. All right, who are your guys' underrated players for the Wolves?
Gavin, you want to start us off?
Yeah. So my pick, I was I was like looking at it. It was like gonna be a little. I was gonna try and be unconventional. I was like, we can't start like that. So my pick's Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I feel like that's pretty. That could be a consensus pick. Especially in game 2, it was really, really evident how valuable he is to the team just with his length. He's gotten so much better as a point of attack defender using his wingspan to guard. And he has an offensive skill set now, which was something he was lacking the first few years after he was drafted by the Pelicans. He kind of didn't really seem to have a role in an offense or find a way he can get on the floor on that end. But he's been terrific so far and adds to the kind of the culture, the stereotype of Minnesota's defense of just like really long, rangy wing defender guys who can, athletic and cause disruptions in your offensive flow. So I've been really impressed with him so far.
Out of curiosity, Gavin, who was the other guy you were thinking about picking?
The other guy I was going to say was just going to be Mike Conley. But
That's
just
not bad.
because just because I mean, but like that's
a
almost
good one,
disrespectful.
actually.
Because Ant and Cat and Gobert get so much attention, like Mike Conley, like without Mike Conley, that offense would be actually horrendous. I want to believe. And when he's not on the floor, and your guy like McLaughlin or Nickeil Alexander-Walker or Ant is your primary initiator, it just looks so much more like herky jerky. And there's like way more early shot clock shots, like not as much like getting to a third action. Like it's just not as Mike Conley does a great job of like maintaining his dribble in the paint, kind of collapsing guys. So I mean, I don't know, but like Mike Conley's like a well respected. I didn't feel like that fit the term. I'm trying to craft my view of underrated to a proper scale. So I mean, I just went with Alexander Walker.
I kind of really like that Mike Conley one, actually, now that I think about it. Like, I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker is, also a really important role player for them. But if we're actually going by like the word underrated pretty heavily, I think Mike Conley actually might be. I had Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but it might be Mike Conley because like I feel like at first thought people think Nickeil Alexander-Walker or Naz Reid or even like Kyle Anderson for his game 2 performance. But Mike Conley just, he's a really steady hand, which is why they brought him in. And with how, ball screen heavy their offense is and, Ant doesn't always create something out of that first action. So then when you get second side, Mike Conley gets it. And he has such good chemistry with Gobert. Like he really knows where, he just knows all the reads. Like he just always makes the right play. And I think that's really important for them just to get the offense churning a little bit. So I might turn it. I might go Mike Conley.
I'm glad to say
without convincing me.
I'm glad to say Mike Conley was my pick.
Ooh,
there you go. But I don't think you can go wrong.
Look who's the contrarian now, Gavin.
Yeah, all right. Well, our old pods where like we did like an ambiguous term and then you had to pick players based off of it made me like self reflect about all these picks, and then now I psyched myself out of it. But nonetheless, Yash picked them, so that's how you get a good chance to talk about them as well.
What was your reasoning, Yash?
What's up?
What was your reasoning?
I think not. And it's just Nickeil Alexander-Walker has been getting a lot of love recently. Like it was just as simple as that. Like national media, everyone's talking about him because it's coincided with Jamal Murray having a bad series. It's largely because of Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So I feel like he's been getting his love, whereas Mike Conley, he's been consistently, doing what Mike Conley does game by game. Doesn't necessarily get the recognition. It was really just that simple. But I don't think you can go wrong with either of those two guys.
Yeah, Naz Reid too. I mean, Naz Reid has been sneakily really good, even on the defensive end as well. I mean, on that game 2 blowout win for the Wolves, he had 4 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. Has had a steal every game so far.
Yeah,
and
he's been
he's also
switching out to those guys. He's switching out on guards and doing a good job.
well, he's always been a little bit more mobile. Like he can stay in front of guys pretty well. It's not like the Nuggets have anyone that's just super like blow by. Anyways, like Jamal Murray, maybe a little bit, but he's also a bit of like a tough shot maker. So like Nasri can like stay afloat against him. So yeah,
I'd also
I mean
like to
they're all.
say, oh, sorry, do it.
No, I was gonna say all three of those guys are. You can't really go wrong. I feel like with any of them. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but also Nas Reed's getting a lot of attention for what he does offensively, like 6-man of the year, and he had that outburst in game 2 where he was like hit like 4 threes in a row. But he's actually done a really good job on Jokic in the minutes, especially the game that Gobert was out and he played like 30 plus minutes, and he did a great job. He didn't end up fouling out when he was kind of switching off with Cat guarding him. But he did a really good job defensively, like being physical and then using his length well. So I think that's just give a shout out there as well, because everyone knows him for Jelly Fam hitting threes, but like he actually was holding his own defensively against the MVP nonetheless.